Hello, everyone. Welcome to Built to Be Heard. This is a weekly live stream series. Sometimes I have guests on, sometimes it's just me. Today, what I'm going to talk about is going to sound a bit controversial to some. Some of you are going to agree with me, and some of you are not going to agree with me, and I welcome all of your opinions. I think it's important that we share our beliefs, our thoughts, so that we can help each other, right? That's important. Now, my thing about tonight, and you may have heard this in some of my other live streams, but I really believe that we are sounding too polished online because we have a tool or an app for almost anything, right? And we can even sound like someone else. And I don't even mean, with just like in an auditory fashion. I mean, we can emulate like someone that may be our hero. We could sound like Wonder Woman. We could sound like another thought leader, right? We don't even have to write our own content. However, I hope that you do because people want to know about you. And if you are posting and sharing what you believe, then those right people will be attracted to you. And of course, it's not just that they're all going to come flooding in. There are strategies where you have to do inbound and outbound. It's not like we live in a Field of Dreams, wonderful movie with Kevin Costner. However, business is not like that today. So, anyways, stop trying to sound smart. And instead, I want you to really focus on saying something that's worth hearing. What would you want to hear? If you were that one person, think about it like out in the audience, whether it was virtual or in person, and you wanted a solution to a problem that you have, right? Now, on top of it all, you may know that you have this problem, or you may not know that you have this problem. You may just think, okay, wait, I don't have enough leads. Okay. It may be a pipeline problem or a funnel problem, however you want to explain it. However, in reality, you may not know why you're thinking like that. Okay. But the thing is, when you're in the audience, you want to be able to hear maybe some other people's stories that could relate to yours. And then you can actually start building interest. And then, from that interest, building trust so that you can further explore, if it makes sense, to, go deeper and see if that potential solution would be a fit for you. But, when you are talking about your company, whether it's a product or a service, of course, not everybody is meant to be your ideal client. So that's why I say it's super important that you focus on speaking to that one person, okay? Not everybody. Speak to that one person so you can be super specific, so you can help them self-diagnose what's going on in their company. Like I said, if they say, oh, I don't have enough leads, well, sometimes that's true and sometimes it's not. Sometimes they do have enough leads, but their sales team is not doing the right things with those right leads. Okay. Sometimes they do have a bunch of leads, but unfortunately those leads are not for their company. Somehow they had attracted the wrong group of people. All of these things happen, and there are solutions to all of them. However, we can't work on something, right? Just like doctors or mechanics until there is an assessment and an audit, a diagnosis, right? So I have been thinking a lot about this lately and how there is an app for everything, right? And we don't even have to write our own content. But like I said, don't give up that power because Your people want to know what you're thinking. Using the tools to save some time is great, right? But those tools need to represent your brand voice and what you're doing in the world and who you're seeking to serve, right? And I think that's where sometimes people get lost because they hear, oh, yes, be authentic. But what does that really mean? What that really means is, speaking your truth, right? Getting super clear, laser lucid clear on what it is you believe in. And I'm an introvert. Okay. So I know what it's like to think, well, if I just keep my nose to the grindstone, or if I don't rock the boat, uh, someone's going to recognize that my work is good and, I'll be okay. And we know that that's not the case because we don't live in a field of dreams. That's not the case if you're in corporate. That's not the case if you're building your own business. Some of these principles, really can apply to different areas in the business. I primarily address CEOs and founders. However, if you happen to be looking for a job or if you're a recent graduate, you can take some of the things I teach and implement them into your job search. Or if you're looking to get promoted, some of these things will help you to have the right people in the right rooms hear you. Okay. So your work does not always speak for itself. You have to speak for your work. I know when I first started building my caregiving agency, I read that and I thought, oh, because at that time I was believing if we give excellent care to our clients, then we will get more referrals from the hospitals. And while, the relationships with that did grow and the hospitals and the facilities were our biggest lead sources, I needed to go out and promote it. And what I did was I put my feet on the street and really went and I tried to meet everyone I could in person. Like this was 2018, right? So, I mean, sorry, 2008. Before, way, way, way before COVID. Actually, it was right in the middle of when the crash happened. But the business that I was starting, I'm not going to say it was recession proof, okay, because I don't think any business is really recession proof. But people, because it was private pay, they either had the money to pay for private duty caregiving services or they didn't because we didn't take insurance. We were getting licensed by the state of Illinois for home caregiving. And yes, we did work sometimes in the facilities for, private caregiving. But, the work did not speak for itself and it was still, a relatively new business. So I needed to go out and speak for the business, and I needed to do speaking presentations to educate people on what caregiving is and go to trade shows and all of those kinds of things, right? So it's not like you just hang your sign up for business and people are coming to you. You have to generate that. There's inbound and outbound strategies and all of those things. But the point is, you don't need to sound smarter. You already know what you need to know to help your people. We don't want to allow, the apps and all of these other tools to make decisions for us, to think for us. And, reality, we don't, there are already so many people. We don't need more thought leaders. We need more people, excuse me, who take a stand for what they believe in and have the desire to really help those people that they're seeking to serve. Okay. And understand that being heard does not require everyone to agree with you. In reality, it is actually a good thing when, let's say, if you're speaking to a room full of people, whether it be virtual or in real life, you want to have some people that disagree with you because it would not be so exciting if everybody agreed with you, right? And, in a room, if you're speaking, let's say, in real life, it's not always going to be down the middle. But there may be a pocket of people that agree with you here on the right, a pocket that disagree on the left. There might be some, people in the middle that are, mixed between agreeing and disagreeing. But the point is, you want to speak for what you believe in and how you can serve your people. And then the right people, will come to you. The right people will come to you. Now, obviously, there are things that have to be done. It's, a matter of strategy when you're building a pipeline, uh, because in today's world, we can't build a business just based on referrals. We have to build a pipeline that produces predictable results. And it's not an overnight thing, right? I mean, we're looking at building a pipeline that you're consistently, dropping in new prospects. And then, during that process, you figure out who you can help. Maybe there's a colleague or an affiliate that would be better to serve those people in some cases, depending on what their needs are. But in today's world, we need to be mindful of that, right? And know that not everybody is going to become a client. Not everybody's the right company for you to work for. Not everybody, not every position that you're looking to apply to up level is going to be right for you. So you kind of have to look at it like it's a journey, and you are going to show up and you are going to do your best, and you are going to seek to serve the right people. So stop asking if you're using social media as one of your pillars, or one of your strategies to get more, known and heard in the world. Stop asking what you should post, or stop asking your team what you should post. Hopefully, they are not asking you, but instead ask, what do I actually believe in? Or what does my company actually believe in? What does my company stand for? That's super, super important. And number two, okay, that was number one. Number two is, stop trying to sound too smart and stop trying to sound like that expert, because you already are that expert. You have knowledge, you have intellectual property that no one else has. The way that you present it makes it unique. So you already know everything that you need to know. You don't have to sound like anyone else. I think that's super, super important. What's helpful is telling us stories about your lessons learned. Maybe some side steps that you took that you regretted. Maybe some side steps that you took that you celebrated. Okay. So, share your story, or maybe you learned a lesson from an influential person, and you can kind of break it down for us as far as why that was important and what that meant to you in your life. Okay. And then number three, give your people who are listening something to respond to. And if you are in the marketing world, or you've heard of, calls to action, CTAs, I'm not speaking about that in this point. I am talking about saying something, putting something out into the world and asking for people, to respond. So, in order to do that, obviously, we have to know what we believe in. We have to know what we stand for. And like I said, you know, being heard is not about having everyone to agree with your points and bowing down to you. I mean, that's not what this is about. And it's super, super important that you do take a stand for what you believe in, what your company stands for, because the right people will be attracted to you. So I have to ask, I'd love to hear your opinions here. Do you think we've become too polished online? And if so, why? Now, if you don't agree with that, if you think that, hey, it's cool, we have apps, we can kind of have apps write things for us. That may or may not be truly in our voice. It may confuse people. Tell me if you believe that we've become too polished online or not, and why. I love, love, love to know. Okay. So please understand that you already have everything that you need. Yes, there may be some missing gaps, but in your head, you have what you need to help those people that you're seeking to serve. Maybe there are some things that need to be organized. However, you will get there if you just get super clear on what it is you believe. And maybe you have to do it by, saying what you don't believe. There's nothing wrong with that too. Because I know several years ago, I had a recent graduate. She had 3 degrees, and she asked me, what am I going to do? I have these 3 degrees and I don't know what positions I want to apply for. And so my advice to her was make a list of what you don't want. And once you decide, you can see that on paper, what you don't want, that is going to get you closer. That's kind of like reverse engineering, which is what we do all the time. And with the systems and tools and the automation that we work with. But if you figure out what you don't want, or in your case, what you don't believe in, then that is going to get you closer to what you do want and what you do believe in. Okay. So just know that I am cheering for you always. You were built to be heard. And I really, really want to hear from you if you would be interested in coming on one of my live streams. If you are, just DM me. I do this Built to Be Heard weekly series, and usually I invite guests on Wednesdays. Sometimes I'm by myself, sometimes I'm with someone as a guest. But if you are interested, I would love to hear what you have to say. We can have a short Zoom call, and then I can get you scheduled to be on one of our live streams. Now, the one question, just so you know, that I do like to ask the guests is this, and I'll remind you if we have a Zoom call. What is that one message that you would like your people to hear in the world? Just that one message. And that alone will help you to get super clear. Now, maybe you need to sit down and figure out what you don't want people to hear. But in any case, that message will help to get you clear. So just know I'm cheering for you. I believe in you. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Take care, everyone.